Welcome to this Markets.com company profile of the Coca-Cola Company. I'm your host, Armando Gutierrez Jr., and thank you for tuning in. Now let's get started. Founded by Asa Chandler in 1892, the Coca-Cola Company has its main headquarters in Atlanta, Georgia. The company has over 90,000 employees worldwide and a market capitalization of $115 billion. Coca-Cola has worldwide operations, although its home market is the United States, with only accounts for about 27% of its revenue. The other three quarters come from outside of the United States. Now, Coca-Cola is divided into 7 different segments. 5 of the segments are regional, and the other 2 are corporate, and the bottling investment segments. Muhtar Kent is the CEO of the company, which has a co-CEO, Gary Cohen and Gary Fayard. The company does not have a CFO. Coca-Cola is officially traded at 5 major national exchanges, those being the New York Stock Exchange, where it is primarily listed, as well as the Frankfurt, Mexican, Swiss, and Lima exchanges. The major indexes it trades on are the Dow 30 and the S&P 500. Let's go ahead and explore the reported financials for the year 2007. Coca-Cola's reported revenues came in at almost $29 billion, with net earnings coming in at $2 billion and 50 cents per share, or a total of $29 billion. Taking a look at some charts based on its 2007 fiscal year, we'll see that the U.S. accounts for 27% of the revenue, while bottling investments accounted for 26%. The rest of the revenues are divided among other regions. As far as earnings are concerned, we can see that the European Union accounted for 25% of the earnings, making it the most profitable segment. Bottling investments, while making up a quarter of the revenue, made up of only 1% of the profits. We can see why the chart on the operating margins, the margins on investments in bottling of microscopic compared to the margin from the European Union sector. Taking a look at the balance sheets. Total assets were over $43 billion, while liabilities were over $21 billion, with equities making up the difference of $22 billion. The debt-to-equity ratio of the company was 0.463. The company had 2.3 billion shares outstanding at the end of 2007. On the last day of the same year, the stock closed at $61.37. It closed at $49.53 on July 21st of 2008. In 2007, over $3 billion in dividends were paid out to its shareholders. Early on, we discussed some financial information for the operations of Coca-Cola. But what exactly do they do? Well, a lot of the soda you buy is actually bottled by a bottling company, while they do sell some finished goods to distributors. Coca-Cola usually makes a syrup that makes the Coke and wholesales it to either bottling companies or distributors, depending on the regions and their contracts. Coca-Cola also owns some pretty big stakes in a lot of bottling companies that bottle their sodas all over the world, which makes sense considering that they want some of it these companies do. Growth for Coca-Cola has, for a while, come from the emerging markets. In fact, that they have had a presence there while gives them the ability to take advantage of the growth in these countries. Still, they believe that buying up portions of independent bottling companies also will give them growth in the future by protecting their infrastructure. On the other hand, to give shareholders a better return, they have been trying to lower costs, and they are also consistently buying back stock. The outlook for Coca-Cola seems relatively stable. The company has not had any bad news, and the stock has been relatively boring, which in general is good news. But in this case, the stock is still pretty far from its high of July 1998. Although the stock does have a decent yield, it has really not performed for a whole decade. Having said that, it is valid to note that the rise in the 1990s was probably overdone in this decade of sideways movement, and that multiple contraction in the stock has put it in a better position going into its future. Although one of its main competitors, Pepsi, with a better diversified portfolio, has easily outperformed it in the last decade and looks like it will keep doing so in the short term at least. Still, Warren Buffett has held onto the stock, and as Jeremy Siegel put it, best stocks are for the long run. This concludes our Markets.com company profile on Coca-Cola Company. I'm your host, Armando Gutierrez Jr. See you soon.